Hello and welcome. If you're watching this video, then you have probably decided to become an entrepreneurial educator. So congratulations. In this brief training, I'm going to walk you through what it means to be an entrepreneurial educator and one of America's entrepreneurial schools. America's Entrepreneurial Schools is an award or a designation for any school who can bring some sort of entrepreneurial programming to every student in a building in the course of a school year. This may sound complicated, but it's actually very simple and easy to implement and won't add very much work to your already overfilled plate as a teacher. Before I get into the details of what it means to become an America's Entrepreneurial School or how you do it, I want to give you a bit of history. A couple of years ago, there was funding to pilot 10 schools in West Virginia. That data was collected to apply for a larger Appalachian Regional Commission Power Grant. We received the grant, and Power was funded for 3 years. We support counties in West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, and Tennessee through the grant. However, the initiative is growing very fast across the country, and we're able to support some other schools through additional foundation funding from smaller private foundations and just from school funding internally when a school decides that they want to pay for it themselves. So why would you want to do this? Why on earth would you want to provide entrepreneurship education or some sort of entrepreneurial mindset connection for students in your building? Well, here's the why. This is extremely powerful for kids. Entrepreneurial mindsets allow students to constantly look for ways to create opportunity for themselves and for other people, to look for places where opportunity doesn't exist and make it exist. It makes students who understand their strengths and the strengths of those around them. What it does is create a culture in a school. It changes the culture to an entrepreneurial culture where students are thinking bigger. And instead of this linear thinking where students think that they need to either, go through school, go to college, get a career, or go through school, get a job, get a career. And if I want to stay in my hometown, I probably can't if the job doesn't exist there. It takes kids from that linear type of thinking to a more well-rounded type of thinking and a problem-solving type of mindset where, you know what, I want to live in my town, I want to stay here where my family is, where the people I love are. So maybe there's a solution to this. Maybe I can become a consultant. Maybe I can start a business. Maybe I can work for a company and telecommute. It starts young people thinking about different ways to do things and improve the situation that they're in. One of the biggest entrepreneurial mindsets and something that educators across the country generally fail at, and not of their own fault, it's the fault of the testing and all of the requirements that have to happen. We fail at failure. We don't allow kids to fail and be comfortable in that failure and be comfortable in their ability to fix a failure. We rarely step back and let students create something, build something, design a social solution, design a product, test it out and fall flat on their face, and then pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and try again. And then maybe fall flat on their face again. But by letting students have this opportunity, by letting young people have the opportunity to fail and have the opportunity to fail multiple times and fix their failure, that's how we really learn, and that's how you learn to be entrepreneurial. Kids need to know that it's okay to fail and to get back up, dust themselves off, and try again. We as human beings don't learn anything from instant successes. We learn from failure. Think about it. You learn when you don't do something perfect, and you have to fix it and try again. That's why. That's what we want to give kids, because when we give kids entrepreneurial mindsets, we don't just give them 1 or 2 extra opportunities, we give them all the opportunities. Entrepreneurial mindsets equal success. We don't expect that every student that runs through your school system and gets these great entrepreneurial opportunities. We do not expect that every single student is going to start a business. That's unrealistic. But that's not, if a student doesn't start a business, that is not a failure. That's also a success. If students get these entrepreneurial mindsets and they go out and they freelance, or they get a group together of friends and they start doing some consulting, they get web jobs or web design jobs from Silicon Valley that they wouldn't otherwise even think to do, or if they go out and start a restaurant, or if a student decides, I want to go work for a company, I don't want to start a business, I understand the risks, and it's not for me. That's fine too, because you know what? That kid is going to become, with this entrepreneurial mindsets, that kid's going to become an agent of change within the organization that he or she works for. There's a survey done by top companies in this country, and they listed the top 10 things, that skill sets, soft skills that they would like young people that they're hiring to have, in addition to the technical expertise, the academic expertise. And all of those things were entrepreneurial mindsets. I can hire 100 engineers with a technical background. I want to hire the engineer that has that entrepreneurial mindset and is going to create value for my company. So whether these young people go out and they start a business understanding full well what they're getting into, or if they go work for a company, both things are success. We're creating kids and we're enabling kids to win. What we're asking you to do as an entrepreneurial educator is not give a student in 1 year all the things that they need to know to have entrepreneurial mindsets. What we're asking you to do is to try to start to change a habit of mind. A lot of these kids have very linear thinking about their future and about what's possible. We want to expand that. We want to give them more options and more opportunities. And the only way we can do that is to change their habits of mind. You can't change a habit in one shot. You can't change it in one lesson. You can't change it in 1 week. You can't change it in one experience. In order to form or change a habit, you have to do something consistently over time. So the idea is simple. Give them one thing this year, then one thing next year, then one thing the next year. Every kid, pre-K through 12, we get one thing every year. And over time, you start to chip away at those mindsets. And you start to build a student who comes out the end of that academic pipeline armed with all the skills needed to go into whatever workforce is coming at them. Because we don't know. Things are changing so fast these days, who knows what these young people are going to be facing. So let's give them all the tools they need to succeed and be winners, no matter what happens. So we're asking you to do this as a teacher, but we're not asking you to do it in isolation. You have the help of your regional coordinator, either Toy Hirschman or Melanie Denham, or your college partner. These two people or several people, depending on who you're working with, are able to support you on the ground. If you don't know where to start, we can give you ideas of different things you can do in your classroom. If you have a whole school model, we can give you different ideas of the kinds of projects and things you can have students start working on. We never specify a curriculum because we don't want to tell you what you need to do, and plus there is no one-size-fit-all solution for this. You do what you can. You figure out what works for your classroom or in your school, and whatever you need, we're here to help. If you need some coaching, if you need some mentoring, let us know. If you need just idea starters, let us know. If you want to just get on the phone and brainstorm, let us know. That's what we're here for. So I told you it's very simple. It's very simple. It's almost incomprehensible because it really is that simple. So here is what you need to do. First, come up with a school plan. Decide with your colleagues and your peers what you're going to do as a school. Are you going to do a whole school model? Are you going to do it class by class? Are you going to put it in a tech rotation or a STEM rotation or something that hits every student in the building? Are you going to do it by grade? Whatever it is, figure out what your school plan is. You can do it teacher by teacher if you want. Choose a team leader or a school leader, potentially, who can communicate back and forth with me or their other regional coordinator. Then second, you participate in events. So you implement your plan. You work with the college to figure out what you want the college to do. You participate in any events that are going on. And then third, Your school gets awarded as an America's Entrepreneurial School, and you become an entrepreneurial educator. So take a minute right now, pause the slide if you need to, and think of a few ideas of something that you could do, even if you need to just think about it on your own as is in a context of your own classroom. So take your idea, if you teach mathematics or if you teach Algebra 1, think about the things that you could make that you could take a lesson you're already doing and turn it and add some entrepreneurship to it. An example might be fractions, for instance. Fractions are generally difficult for kids to understand. So let's take fractions and how could we make it entrepreneurial? Well, there's a couple things we do. We could connect it to, culinary arts and cooking and the different, thirds of cups and fourths of cups and half cups and all of those things, depending on the age level of the kids that you're dealing with. Then once you connect those recipe types of things to students' real worlds and what they do, then you could say, how would you make a business out of this? Or, could you start a restaurant? Or could you potentially, start an online business? There's a guy that sells pies for $50 a pie online. It's amazing. Or, take an idea like writing. You need to teach kids how to write, but generally kids have a hard time with that. How could you come up with a product idea, and then how would you market that idea, and what kinds of content would you write for that? If you're in STEM, think about a STEM project that you do. Maybe think about robotics, and kids build a robot. So maybe step back and don't give them any instructions and let them build this robot, but then take it to the next level and say, okay, say you built this robot and this robot does these amazing things that could help people in some capacity. How would you market it? How would you get it out into the world? What would it cost? You know what all of the parts cost, and how could you produce it? How much would a prototype cost? How much would it cost for you to mass produce it? Those are the kinds of things you need to brainstorm right now and think about how you can build in entrepreneurship to what you're already doing. And that's really it. That's all you have to do. Come up with a plan, figure out something you're doing you can build entrepreneurship into, whether it's in your own classroom or if your school decides to do a whole school thing or in whatever way that your school has figured out that it makes the most sense to add entrepreneurship. Come up with your plan, work your plan, and that's it. It's so simple. It's so simple to do. It's so simple to implement, yet it is so powerful and effective to young people, to kids. It can fundamentally change the way that they think about their worlds. It can fundamentally change the way that they think about their futures and their lives. And quite frankly, it can fundamentally change and uplift a community. If you're in a community that is rural, that is impacted by coal, that doesn't have a whole lot of opportunities for kids, you start this pipeline and you get this group of young people coming up that are thinking differently, that are creating jobs, that are creating value, that are doing unique things. That is infectious. And the community will start to recognize that. And when these kids are having businesses and they're pulling in revenue streams from other states, from other countries, from other places, when they're developing new ideas, when they're thinking outside the box, the rest of the community will too. And it has the potential to drive economics and impact a community in a profound way. Thank you so much for your time. Please contact me at toy@entreed.org. If you need my help, please email me. Please give me a call. We're here to help. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.